we have Derek from Jan Doyle Band with us today.
I'll try it like this. This might be easier. With this stupid hair, it's a problem. I'll take an earpiece off. I think that might be the easiest bit. No, that's falling apart now. I'll figure something out. I don't know.
You carry on.
Ah, this hair, damn it. Well, let's try it like that. Might do the job there. Right, okay. Should be charging for this.
Are we sorted?
I think so, yes. Well, I can hear you okay. That's the main thing.
Right, so we have got Derek from the Jan Doyle Band with us today. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Well, Jan Doyle Band is the world's premier practitioners in insurrectionary neo-futurism, as is indeed stated in one of our tracks on the recent EP, adopting various different styles within, I guess, a certain category, whilst also being incredibly glamorous, as you can undoubtedly see. We tend to verge between styles of kind of between synth pop, industrial, goth, punk, mixing all those together a little bit whilst maintaining a spectacular image. That's the idea anyway.
I think you do it rather well.
And indeed it does say insurrectionary neo-futurism there on the wall. I mean, the writing is indeed on the wall, as they say.
Right, just before we carry on, your video is very slow.
Yes, unfortunately, it's on Wi-Fi, as I could, because the USB sockets are decidedly iffy on this computer. I can't get it any better than that.
That's all right, as long as you know.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, and sadly, there's nothing I can do about it. I was going to connect via a USB cable, but it was having none of it.
Oh, well, I can hear you fine, so that's all good.
Yes, you just have to put up with a sort of slow motion version of me or something.
Adds to the effect, I think.
It makes it intriguing, I guess.
And when did it all begin for you, your music career?
It all began when it started. Yeah. Well, I know it depends on how you define when things started. Maybe things started as soon as time started. Maybe things started a year ago. Maybe things started 20 years ago. It's never easy to define such things. But Jan Doyle Band's been a live act since 2011.
Going some years.
Yeah, and maybe we've always been going. We just didn't know about it, you know. Maybe we always will be.
And was you doing anything before the Jan Doyle Band?
I guess you could say after a fashion, not that anyone knew about it. There was a bit of sort of bedroom experimentalism with a load of analog synthesizers making music without any kind of clue as to what music actually was. But hey, just plug things in and see what happens. But that was as a project which was entitled RITC, which stood for Rave is Talentless Crap, with the original ethos of, oh, we'll just produce some terrible rave music and just show how easy it is. But then we just went in some bizarre experimental direction instead. And, well, that's that. But I decided I wanted something a bit more like a rock band as well. So I started Jan Doyle Band as well.
Perfect. And you had an album released earlier this year, The Body Balance.
It was an EP rather than an album, which we've got 3 albums on Bandcamp to date, which are compilations of our EP releases. Typically, we release a few EPs, then combine them, as the albums suggest, into a compilation. So we don't have to produce loads of EPs each time. So just a handy way of collecting it all together once we've got the EPs all released. Saves on CDs for sure. CDs, what are those?
What are those? Yeah.
And most people probably can't even play them. We don't do discs. There's a reference for people who are old. Right
And
in,
then
if you're old enough to get my reference just then, you don't do discs. Bet you're not, are you?
I'm 29.
No, you won't be old enough. These youngsters,
These
disgraceful.
youngsters.
These young whippersnappers don't know they're born.
Right. And does any of the songs that you've done, does any stand out for you?
Well, I would say on the recent EP is my favorite track of all time, really. I think the Body Balanced it's really something I'm particularly proud of, because I think I just think it's a lot of things coming together to, I mean, Kelly's guitar it originally started as just a purely electronic track. Then my guitarist, who I had just over a year ago, about 18 months ago now, well, probably a bit longer than that now, but he started with the band around sort of March time in 2019, and made his first recordings with the band on the Body Balanced EP. After we'd been reworking things live, and he just came up with just such a great guitar line over the electronics, and I just think it just brought new life into a track I already enjoyed. And I just think it's also one of my most powerful vocals to date as well. I'm particularly sort of proud, if you like, that there's a bit where I kind of hold a note for about 15-20 seconds, so just showing off a bit there. Not that my vocals are really that much to write home about most of the time, but I just think it's a track where a lot of things came together, and I don't think there's much like it, and the complexity of the drum programming in it, there's a lot going off in there, and I just think with the passion it embodies as well, it's just really exciting track that I love to perform.
So going the other way, did you have any problems with any of them?
No, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. We knew the tracks well from live performance, so it was just a pretty simple job of getting them recorded onto the EP. There was a little bit of trying to get the producer to understand how to do Confusion properly, the second track on the EP, but other than it wasn't an awful lot of trouble. But I think overall it went pretty smoothly and didn't take that long to produce.
Fabulous. That's what you want, isn't it?
Definitely, though I'd rather it didn't cost quite so much.
That's always the downside. And I have seen you've done quite a few live performances as well.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the feeling of live performance. It's what the music's all about, really, just it's an excuse to really get out there. And obviously with live performance is so much a focus and so much thought goes into performing live, the theatrics of it all, I mean, hence the appearance and so forth. It's about, I try as much as possible to present in a way more as a theatrical show, which is sort of carefully arranged to flow. It's not just a collection of songs, it's designed to flow in a particular way, and there's certain dips and so forth in the set. We open with something maybe a bit more attention grabbing, then have a sort of slower section in the middle. I mean, it's a fairly obvious structure, but the feelings and the way things develop in the show, it will generally build to a more spectacular climax. And as I say, it's the theatrical, I mean, influences from the likes of Bowie and Toyah and Susie and the Banshees, all these things where the spectacular appearance of a live show is a vital part of the whole thing. So it's just present something that isn't just everyday life. It's about more than that, it's put on an actual show. Don't go on stage in just t-shirt and jeans, I say. Let's present something more. Anyway, that's my ideas of it anyway. So
I love it. And have any had an impact on you? Any stand out in particular?
Any particular
live
shows? I mean, we had an absolute great time at Goth City. When we played the Day of the Goths show, I wouldn't necessarily say we're strictly a goth band, but we definitely have leanings that way and certainly compatible with it very much. So I wouldn't be ashamed of being called that. It's just I don't know if people really would consider us that or not. Maybe they would, maybe wouldn't, doesn't matter. But yeah, it was a really good show with lots of crowd response that really really had a lot of energy. And also when I played Glasgow solo in 2018, I think it was, I think 2018 or did a, yes, I can't believe it's that long ago. Did a solo tour as Jan Doyle Band still, and just got such a fabulous reception in Glasgow. It was only a small venue, but I was surprised at how many people had kind of come out to see the show, and specifically to see JDB, despite it being only the second time in Glasgow. And the last time we played to about 5 people, but it was such a, it was only like a floor show in effect in a pub. They like cleared a top deck of a 2-level pub, which was Block Plus in Glasgow. And like you walk in on a lower floor, and then there's a sort of more raised floor, and they cleared like all the tables and chairs out and just perform on the floor. But there was such passion and energy in the people who were there, and also playing with a band that I love from Glasgow, Police. I'm never sure exactly if I'm pronouncing that right. The Scottish version of Police, anyway. But, yeah, spelled P-O-L-I-S. But they're something totally out of the ordinary that you can't really explain. They're something that you've really got to see, and they're a brilliant live band as well. So it was a great atmosphere all round, and just those two are probably 2 of my favorite performances, as well as causing a little bit of trouble at the karaoke room at Infest. But
Oh, yeah.
not in a bad way, but just sort of having a bit of fun by asking them to put one of my backing tracks on, and I did my performance of Yes Sir I Can Boogie to a totally unsuspecting audience.
Oh. Was it received well?
Yeah, they loved it. It was great fun. Just have a little bit of it was just a bit of silly fun, really. I mean, the Yes Sir I Can Boogie, I think, is a fabulous track to begin with, and then I just love performing our version, because the way it can be a great way to interact with the crowd is just loads of fun. Also, you can have a little bit of cheeky intimidation of the crowd, so to speak, get them a little bit unnerved when you go up to them and say, "Mister, I see your eyes are full of hesitation." Get them a little bit on edge, and it's quite fun. But everyone was having a good time, and it was all good fun there.
Oh, I love it. So obviously with COVID-19 going on, there hasn't been many live gigs, if any. So has it had an impact on you?
In a way, it's inspired new ways of doing things for me. I know without the crisis, I probably wouldn't have got round to doing the music videos that I created that were done for the Goth City virtual gig. It just occurred to me that it didn't have to be a live performance as many people were doing. I thought, being as we were pre-recording it for broadcast later, I thought, hang it, this is an opportunity to do something more like music videos for a change, as everyone else was kind of doing which fair enough, it's very sensible thing to do to present your live show, but I decided to cheat a little bit and use overdubbed studio recordings. But as I say, I just thought it was an interesting way of creating, again, thinking of the theatrical side of things, I think is what it was all about. Present something a little bit different. I had opportunity to try something new out, and it was kind of touch and go at one stage whether I was going to chicken out from doing the recordings, because I just was stressing and thinking it's just going to turn out rubbish. But I'm so glad that I didn't, because I think the results still obviously very, very, very limited budget, as they're made on a budget of absolutely nothing. But I think they get the flavour of the band across well and give a kind of nice cyberpunk edge to it as well. That's kind of fun. And I think the Body Balanced one in particular is it's quite a stylish video. I mean, all we did was just point a video camera at us and record our prancing about to the song, but you know, it's
That's
still
all music videos are, aren't they?
yeah, that's the idea. Even though at times maybe it does look a bit like the goth dance troupe videos you sometimes see on YouTube, though these days they're often overdubbed with Thomas the Tank Engine music. So
I've seen one of them actually.
yes, but I still think it was a good thing that, in a way, the idea of the lockdown inspired a new way of doing things, and I think that was quite fun.
You've got to look at the positives.
Yeah, there's always things that you can take out of a situation. I say that, but I have to have huge sympathies for the people who are really struggling with the situation, as I know it's easy for me, as I've tended to work from home as well a lot before it, so it's not been a huge change to my life. But I think for some people it's been a real struggle, and I'm really sorry for those people who are finding it hard, and not everyone has the opportunities to adapt as well. So obviously very much sympathies for them, and hopefully not too much longer and we can start returning to normal.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. So you've got a radio show as well, I believe.
I do, though it's been a little bit off air for a couple of weeks due to technicalities of things. I do like to, I think it'd probably just be a Mixcloud upload from now on, because of it's not easy affording to pay for the subscription to do it live anymore. But I'm always eager to find acts that are doing something new and exciting, and something that's a little bit different. And so if someone inspires me, I want to give them some promo. If I can get really enthusiastic about other acts, so I always want to give back, regardless of whether they're going to for me or not. I'm not doing it for reciprocation. I just do it because I think it's worth doing, and that's the main thing. Yeah,
definitely. Plus sharing everyone else's talent. I think that's the way it's going at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I name several acts. I mean, I always like it best when acts are people who don't just repeat the same thing all the time, such as say the Alpha Video is an act who is always creative, and 1 minute can be doing something intense industrial, and then the next minute you'll get a total sweet pop song, and that unpredictability is incredibly exciting. And you know, I hate it when acts do a track and basically turn it into an album, and the Alpha Video is definitely someone not like that. And also just other great acts like Leg Puppy and Down From Above, and as I mentioned, Police, and they're amazing, and Arch Femesis, and I could go on for a long time, so best not. I mean, it's meant to be about me, don't you know? Me.
So, in my
opinion, this is my time to shine, not them.
So, in my opinion, it takes a lot of guts to get onto a stage, anyway. But to do what you do, you give such a performance. You give it your all when you're Absolutely. On stage. So, do you have any advice for people wanting to follow in your footsteps? Because it can't be easy.
Don't dream it, be it, or however the Rocky Horror Picture Show goes. But the problem is, it's very hard to advise anyone else, because for me, this is kind of second nature in effect. If I reveal behind the curtain, so to speak, everyday life, I would say, is a lot more difficult for me. I'm a much more shy, retiring person in real life. It's only when I get all my theatrics on, and when I'm in that zone of control on stage and so forth, everything just makes a lot more sense. Then, you know, when people, it's so much easier when people come to you rather than having to approach others. I think there's that, as I like to think of it, kind of like a zone of control that everyone has around them. And when you've got to invade others, then I think that can be intimidating. But when they're coming into yours, that's fine. It's all the inhibitions are lost then. So there's permission granted to do whatever you want if they're coming to you. But there's so much anxieties related to, will they want me to just go away or something like that? And, you know, every real life is confusing and strange, but on stage, everything's easy. It's so much more simple, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Everything's straightforward, and I don't have to worry about a thing. It's all clockwork.
That's cool, though. That is cool. And
So, even though you say like it takes a lot of guts, it takes more guts, I think, to be a person than it does to be a creation.
I guess it depends on the person, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know some people.
I struggle doing this.
Well, you're doing a fine job anyway.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I don't know if I could do it. Whereas I'm fine in real life.
Yeah, it's funny. And it's funny, I think quite often it goes that way. The people who are good sort of off stage, so to speak, often struggle on, and then the vice versa. And I think a lot of us need this protection of guys and so forth to encourage people to us. I think the more spectacular people might be on stage, you might find the more shy and retiring they may be off stage. It's not hard and fast rule, but I think quite often you may find that the more sociable off stage, strangely enough, it seems harder on stage. I know like Emma of Promenade Cinema has said to me in the past, she finds the stage performance a little bit tricky at times, whereas off stage she's fine. You know, it's just funny how that works, I think.
And are you working on anything at the moment?
Not really, just being lazy. And it's not the. And the thing is, to some extent, I tend to think I've got so much as it is, and I can't do. I didn't get proper chance to truly promote my last EP, so it's a little disappointing in that way. But I have got a track coming out soon, which I did in collaboration with the Alpha Video. We decided to call the product a slightly comedic name for Love Not Lucio, based partly on the band For Love Not Lisa, and also referencing, for us at least, Lucio Fulci, the Italian horror director, because we have a certain fondness for his bizarre, mad, crazy Italian films that rarely make much sense and are absolutely riddled with absurd, gory scenes.
Sounds lovely.
Definitely. I mean, if you have a particular hatred for eyeballs, then Lucio Fulci's your man, as he'll gouge them, squash them, explode them, you name it. In practically all his films, he'll do something with eyeballs. If he's not driving a wooden stake into it, he's making them explode. You know, all the fun stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Anyway, that's called Mona Lisa Broken Bones, and will be on the upcoming Wasteland Volume 2 from Goth City Recordings. And a couple of people well, I say one person has approached me to do some vocals on one of his tracks, and I'm kind of working on a vocal on that at the minute. A track called Dream Talk, and I can't quite remember his name right now, and that's really embarrassing. But I'm also trying to find someone to do a vocal on my incredibly pop-tastic electro cover of the Waitress's Christmas wrapping, but struggling to find anyone so far, which is annoying.
I'm sure someone will come along.
Eventually, hopefully.
Yeah. And post-COVID, have you got any plans? Back to live performances?
Oh, definitely. As soon as we can, as soon as it's safe and everything is restored to how it should be, then I definitely want to get back to doing it. I've got to get the new EP properly out there. I never got to do the launch gig as I cancelled it due to the initial rise of COVID. It was an agonizing decision to make, but it was just at the start of the initial surge, and I thought, I'm not taking any chances. As much as I want this gig to happen and I want to promote my EP, I'm not going to do something that could potentially infect hundreds, if not thousands of people, if not directly at the gig, but secondary infections and so forth. So I thought it best, despite it costing me money, I thought it best to, because I still had to pay for the venue hire, I still thought it best to cancel.
Right, and is there any messages you want to say to our viewers?
Well, I'll say a thank you to How Many Devils for encouraging you to invite me for an interview. Was it very good of them? I do enjoy a bit of How Many Devils myself, and a bit of Monkey Fondue as well, as indeed Simon of the band calls his solo project. And also would definitely like to encourage everyone to be amazing, be terrible, but never be boring.
I like that.
Definitely. That's the mantra I live by. Be amazing, be terrible, and never be boring. At least make them remember you.
Yeah. And just before we go, do you want to tell us where people can listen to your music?
They can go and buy and listen on Bandcamp. We are on Spotify, but don't go to Spotify. We don't get any money from Spotify near enough. Spotify is just an exploitation system. So, go to Bandcamp. Everything's available to either download for free or whatever you might want to pay for it. Today would have been a good day, and thanks to some people who have bought things today, as it's been a no fees day. Rob McCormack of How Many Devils, in fact, bought some today. So thanks, Rob. But there's loads of music up there on the jandoyleband.bandcamp.com site. And of course, Jan Doyle Band /Jan Doyle Band on all manner of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So you can keep up with this glamorous visage.
Amazing.
There's an hour of work here, Ooh, the lights are colour.
Wow.
If I shout, then they will change colour, I guess.
Oh gosh, that's spooky.
They are sound activated. Also, if I hit them, they'll change colour. Yeah, go all dark now. Yes, it's terribly thrilling. Got stage lighting in my own house. Ridiculous, isn't it?
Why not?
And I have done some lockdown gigs from here at variable quality, I have to say.
Better than no gig, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little something to keep people interested. So yeah, there's that.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much for taking the time to give me the time to give you the time.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad your introduction to insurrectionary near-futurism has been a positive one.
It has, very much so. And I will recommend anyone to come and check you out.
Absolutely. I look forward to the playing of stadiums when I return, thanks to your help, obviously.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
I might play outside one. Never. Whether or not they want me to. And I live just nearby one, so
Well, there you go. Just play out the window.
Yeah, it's close enough. It's only about a mile away, so,
Play loud enough, can't you?
it counts. I mean, that often comes up on my phone as a place to check in. So, you know, I might as well count myself as part of it.
There you go. See, we've sorted it.
Yes, it sounds like everything is fully in order. We've got all our ducks in the row. We've crossed our I's and dotted our T's and put the world to rights. And at the end of the day, when all's said and done, yeah, or something. Something
Right.
along those lines anyway.
And my dreams have never come true. So I think it's safe to say I wish I were a woman. Wrapped in grey eyes, wrapped in blackest silk, neck to toe, my waist and hips immaculate, like an obsession. The air, it fits my skin. It fits the body balanced with fatuation. The body balance. The body balance. The body balance. So I'm sick. Sick of all the things that matter to me. These damn girls are all wrong. The body balance. The body balance. Neck to toe, my waist and hips immaculate, like an obsession. The air, it fits my skin, it fits the body balance. Neck to toe, the body balance. Wrapped in grey eyes, wrapped in blackest silk, neck to toe, my waist and hips immaculate, like an obsession. The air, it fits my skin, it fits the body balance. Oh, the body balance. These damn girls, the body balance. Oh, wish I was a woman that's mega completion, unentwined. My body balanced for the sound. The body balance. I wish I was a woman that's mega completion, unentwined. My body balanced for the sound. The body balance, the body balanced, the body balance, the body balance.